But it was just always fascinating to me because I did get a moniker of being like a diva, which I never felt I deserved.
Owned by artists.
Okay.
You think you would want to be a piece of that? If you look at I do literally is I open my arms up, but it's gonna be an amazing day. Like I try to do an affirmation right away.
It's funny how one of J.Lo's songs is called On the Floor when our girl from the supposed block is apparently far from having her feet on the ground. She's practically levitating at this point with how far her head is up in the clouds. Would you want to work with someone who was at a Diddy party? Not only that, but with someone who used to date him? So I'm curious what repercussions will be for our girl, Jenny from the block. They reportedly dated in 1999 to 2001, but ended it as rumors about Sean Combs started to speculate that he was having an affair with J.Lo. But with everything that has been happening with Puff, people are questioning why they really broke it off in the early 2000s. A news outlet reported Jennifer is ignoring all questions about Diddy, but she can't ignore the anxiety that comes every time his name is mentioned. She's at the point now where she's getting PTSD over it. She's terrified where this will all end as far as her involvement goes. It's likely she'll be formally interrogated. I'm curious as to why you're scared, Jenny. Will you eventually tell us what really went down if, well, something did? Are you scared that what might be leaked could also ruin your career? Elon Musk also jumps in to stir the pot, stating that Lopez's opinion shouldn't even matter since she didn't warn people about her ex-boyfriend. He does make a good point that there had to be celebrities who knew about what was going on and decided to stay silent. Does that also include you, Lopez? People claim that she isn't a partier either, and yet there you are at one of Diddy's 4th of July parties? I don't like that she's yet to say anything about it either. This doesn't look good on her part, and if she doesn't want to speak out soon, who knows how many strings will be cut from her. My favorite video of Lopez, at least that I'm aware of, was that infamous TikTok video of her at the Met Gala when she was being asked what she was wearing. I didn't even realize she was a host for the Met Gala as well until the TikToker by the name of Who Is a Div stated so. I'm pretty sure we've all seen this by now, but I also have a bit of my own words to say on the matter. This is also by no means trying to cover up her butt for some of the other out of touch things she's done to people, but I do still try to see from all perspectives and not let my own bias get the better of me. This video is very quick. Lopez is trying to get up a pair of stairs in a clearly uncomfortable dress. A reporter tries to ask her what she's wearing, and Lopez gives her a rather annoyed look as if the reporter had said something rude to her before answering the question. People use this video a lot when trying to add to her diva personality, especially when she is a supposed host for the Met Gala, and you're responding to reporters like that. Continuing on with the dissecting, you see the struggle even in her legs at how she's having a hard time lifting them properly. She even has to hold hands from 2 different people to do this for only a couple of steps. Now, a part of me thinks, yeah, if I'm in a dumb, uncomfortable dress trying my best to make it to the top of the stairs as quickly and flawlessly as possible, I'd be a little annoyed too when I need to stop and chat real quick about the dress. But guess what, J.Lo? You're a celebrity at a Met Gala right now, and one of the #1 questions that everyone gets asked, no matter where they are in the room, is what you are wearing. I'm sure you're well versed in this as well. The reporter was clearly doing her job, and it's your job as both a host and an A-list artist to keep up that stardom appearance and personality. The reporter probably already struggled getting in there to do her job, and this was maybe her one opportunity. Celebrities like this do baffle me when they don't look at the bigger picture here. Alright, so which is it, J.Lo? Do you want people to be at your beck and call for your every whim? Or do you want that independent modern woman appearance? Because gosh forbid someone who works for you tries to hold the door open for you. I get it. I mean, realistically I never will, but I understand your point of view of always being under a microscope for your every move. That any step you take will be viewed by the paparazzi or public somewhere. But was the look you gave your bodyguard really necessary? I also didn't appreciate how you smiled at him in the beginning, but then you're quick to give him such a snake-like eye roll when he's trying to make your life easier. It wasn't even for that long. He waited until your hand touched the door to let it go. Now, I love to dissect videos like these a bit more, and there was a part that caught my attention. There is a moment while he's trying to hold the door open where it almost looks like he says something to her. It's hard to tell because his arm covers his mouth, but you can kind of see it with the head movements. Probably something along the lines of, "I got it." Oh, buddy, you messed up big time. Don't you know that one of Jenny's rules is to never speak to her? Consider yourself fired by the next morning, you poor soul. Speaking of rules, have any of y'all heard some of these so-called guidelines you have to follow if you ever plan on working for her? This source comes from Your Tango, who gives us an insight to the lives, or I would say sentences, of her staff members and assistants. As we saw in the previous video, Jenny's #1 rule on the top of this list is to never speak or make eye contact with her. Girl, you've got to be kidding me. Can you seriously go for a whole day, or should I say your whole life, of never speaking to people who work for you? I think it's sad to imagine you having to write down your breakfast request for your own personal chef rather than just telling him. Not stating this is true, but I would not be surprised. #2 is that she will fire you if you ask for an autograph. This rule was allegedly made by people online after a maid who was working in a hotel that Lopez was staying at during a tour in Germany supposedly lost her job the next morning after she asked for an autograph. The employee was told by the company that Lopez had complained about the event, but the celebrity was quick to say she would never choose to get a fan fired, and explains that the maid was allegedly let go because the employee decided to bust through the room unannounced. Rule numero 3, and this one personally is just plain silly. She will not work with Virgos. Well, I'm a Capricorn, so I should be safe, right? This one comes from Jenny supposedly firing everyone who was a Virgo during her auditioning process for a tour. Heather Morris, being a dancer who was auditioning, and a Virgo, was allegedly dismissed because of her sign after Lopez asked all the dancers who were Virgos to raise their hand. I personally don't use zodiacs to decide whether or not I want to work with someone, but rather the actions they do as their own person. Rule number 4. Everything must be white. It's interesting reading about this and learning about Diddy's all-white clothing parties. Coincidence? I think not. Rule number 5 is pretty closely related to the first one, where if she did not need to speak to someone, gosh forbid the agony, she made her personal assistants do it for her. Apparently even going as far as refusing to give a drink order when a flight attendant asked. I just said, "What can I get you to drink?" But Jennifer refused to even acknowledge me. She turned her head away and told her personal assistant, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and a lime," the flight attendant told Star. She wouldn't even look at me. It was sad. She seems so sweet in her movies. Girl, speaking 7 words to a flight attendant isn't going to kill you. Last but not least, if you're expecting to get paid by the diva, don't count on it. Her last rule, apparently, is not paying her staff the proper amount that they deserve. From chauffeurs to literal managers, Lopez apparently likes to keep things cheap, as we've seen her taking back tips that were given to servers when she would go out for dinners. We've gotten quite the spectacle when it comes to the public, but what about stories that supposedly happened behind closed doors? This comes right from the heart of the Lopez family, the nannies. Unlike her other staff members, however, these employees were paid exceptionally well, and rumored to even be paid roughly $2,250 a week. In this case though, the money just wasn't enough to keep 3 of the nannies from leaving. An insider explains, normally people who make huge sums of money have loads of professional and social obligations. Hire a nanny for each child, especially for newborns. But it is as if Jennifer expects one nanny not only to take care of both twins, but to work 16-hour days 7 days a week. I know nothing of what it means to be a nanny, but as someone who used to work around kids for up to 10 hours at the most, yeah, it's not easy. The first nanny for these twins apparently hit the road just after 1 week, and apparently wasn't even given any breaks during those hours. The same happened with the second nanny, who lasted a bit longer than the first, but left for the same reasons. How would you feel about having to ask someone to miss their wedding because J.Lo needed to talk to them about their documentary? Their own wedding. That's what this one YouTuber, who goes by the name of Unlucky Pickle, shows us in this clip about one of the scenes of Jenny's documentary. It starts off by Jennifer being told of all the people who aren't available to be a part of her documentary, which makes sense, considering how you're so incredibly busy that your own kids had to tell you to chill out. It doesn't stop there though, guys. The entitlement that this woman has, the audacity, the sheer courage, might I say. She tells her assistant to contact Derek Hugh, to which her assistant tells her he can't. He's in a wedding. I can understand the confusion at one point because the assistant is a little unclear that it's his wedding and quickly says his wedding in a passing. I don't think J.Lo caught onto that part though, because it's clear she's in her own world with this documentary, but the expression that she gives at the end as if Derek just cussed her out personally personally destroys me. After a moment of silence, she then still goes, "Call him," to which the assistant reluctantly agrees. That's all from me. If you liked what you saw, be sure to subscribe to this channel for more updates on J.Lo, especially as more Puff Daddy evidence comes to light.